Welcome, everyone, to the Naturalist sponsor Soundbyte. I'm Nancy Coulter-Parker, Director of Content Marketing at New Hope Network, and I'm here today with our Naturalist sponsor, Om Mushrooms, to hear how they got started, the values behind the company, and the products and innovation driving them forward. So let's get started. Our sponsor again is Om Mushrooms, and our guest today is health and wellness expert Dr. Sandra Carter, who holds a PhD in preventative medicine and is co-founder of Om Mushrooms. Welcome, Sandra.
Oh, thank you, Nancy. It's really an honor to be here today.
We're excited to have you and hear about mushrooms. Could you please tell us about the genesis of Om Mushrooms, including its name?
Sure thing. So as you mentioned, I have a background in preventive medicine, and I had a 35-year career prior to forming the company with mycologist Steve Farrar, and I became increasingly interested and passionate about all of the different species of mushrooms and their benefits for many of the things that have been of interest to me throughout my career. So in 2009, at an integrative medicine conference, I was introduced to Steve, and he, at the time, was starting to grow these functional mushrooms. And, I jumped in with both feet, and we formed Om. And the reason we chose Om, two reasons, really. Om stands for organic mushrooms, which is important to our brand. And Om also refers to balancing. You say Om as you're meditating, doing yoga. And in their truest form, mushrooms act as adaptogens or balancers, working in harmony with our own bodies. And so it just felt like such a great fit for our brand and what we are all seeking to achieve.
I love that. But I'm curious of why was using organic mushrooms so important to you?
Well, one thing we know about mushrooms is that they are bioaccumulators. So whatever they are growing in or around becomes a part of the final product. So if they're grown in an area that has pesticides, has toxins, heavy metals, even radiation in the air, it all gets condensed in the final product, and in particular in the fruit body of the mushroom. So ensuring that we have agricultural practices, the growing practices that we grow our own mushrooms, to ensure that we have purity in our final product is extremely important to us. So, of course, everything is tested for heavy metals, pollutants. And not only do we have organic status now, we have regenerative organic status now. So we're very, very proud of that achievement.
No, that's a fantastic achievement. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Awesome. And I didn't know that actually about mushrooms being bioaccumulators. I knew like hemp functions like that.
Yeah, toxic waste cleanup. They'll use various types of mushrooms because they'll absorb the toxins and remove them. So, even in nature, something like chaga growing for a very long time on the side of a tree in parts of the world can really condense radiation. If you're in Russia or Siberia near Chernobyl, high levels of radiation exist, unfortunately, to this day, and they are present in wild-crafted chaga in those regions. So really important that you know how your mushrooms are grown, where they're grown, and importantly, that they have been tested as well.
And then can you talk about the difference about using mycelium, the root network, versus the fruiting body, and what you use at Om Mushrooms and why?
Yes, happy to have that conversation because there's a lot of social media chatter, with people who have very strong feelings, I'll say, on both sides of that argument. So, I'm a scientist. I spent 13 years in academia, and so I'm a scientist at heart. And we know from research that there are different bioactive compounds in many species that are unique to the mycelial stage and some that are unique to the fruiting body stage. And so at Om Mushroom, we capture both the fruiting body stage and the mycelial stage. So one great example is lion's mane. And lion's mane has nootropic compounds that are only found in mycelium and some only found in the fruiting body stage. And what's important about that is not only just identifying them, but understanding how, when you process your mushroom, are you capturing those? nootropic compounds are not heat stable. So if you're using a high temperature water extract, guess what? You're denaturing them, and you're not capturing those specific compounds that everybody wants with lion's mane, right? They're taking it for cognitive health. So we have really invested very, very heavily in science and in clinical trials to really not only identify where the compounds are, but once you tape our products, does it work as we're promising? And we're just amazed at the results, honestly. It's really, really encouraging for our entire team to see these clinical studies showing in lion's mane improvement in mood and cognition, restfulness. So I think for me, again, as a scientist, and for our team, really making sure we understand end to end how we should best grow our mushrooms, how we process them, and then the dosage that you need to really deliver on the promises we're making.
No, I love that. The clinical studies, we're always elevating, companies that are doing that, brands that are doing that, and really believe that, that it's important to be backed by that science. But I'm glad you mentioned lion's mane, because it is such a beautiful mushroom. Looks sort of like a mop almost. But it's so, it's just really unique. And the photography on mushrooms.com that, highlights your product. And the mushrooms, it's just really beautiful. And when you look at the lion's mane, mushroom versus the turkey tail or reishi, the lines on the turkey tail, it's just really, beautiful. But you have these great portraits. Could you tell us about your product, and then how you use these different mushrooms? Like how are they used?
Yeah, well, I think when mushrooms first started being sort of known in the natural product industry, people often kind of identified them as one product. There's a mushroom. Well, the mushroom kingdom is actually 10 times larger than the botanical kingdom. So think of how diverse our botanical kingdom is, and all the echinacea, carrots. It's completely diverse, right? So that is what we are learning more and more about different species of mushrooms. So lion's mane has benefits for cognitive health. Cordyceps is a mushroom that has a bioactive called cordycepin, and it acts in many different ways to help improve our utilization of oxygen, which gives us natural energy. We have studies related to sports performance. Reishi is a mushroom that acts as an adaptogen, and it helps with stress management. It also has immunomodulating activity. We have fantastic results looking at blood draws, right? Finished product research, and looking at activation of immune function within 2 hours. So looking at stem cell activation, killer cell activation, cytokines. And so each mushroom really possess different compounds, and they, understanding what those compounds are and how we can best grow our mushrooms and produce products that really focus on certain health and wellness benefits is really a passion for our team here at Ohm. And we're very, very excited that now consumers really are understanding those different types of species and what the benefits are.
Just a quick question. When you take them, then, is that something you would take it for life, or is there a period of time that you need to take them before you might feel these benefits? Obviously, it's different with everyone, I'm sure, but
yeah, most natural products are needed to be taken on a daily basis. And in the case of mushrooms, what they're doing is they're working with your physiology to create adaptations, right? To help activate pathways. We have a lot more similarity in the mushroom world to mammal DNA than between the botanical kingdom and the animal DNA. And so there are different receptors in all mammals that really interact very well with mushroom compounds. And so what they do is help promote adaptations in our bodies that help to modulate either immune function, that help us with cognitive function. We're even seeing research now. We've done a lot of research in gut health in the microbiome. And we see with lion's mane, for instance, the activation through positive probiotic development, the synthesis of GABA and tryptophan, so that gut-brain axis we've identified, separately from nootropic compounds, how lion's mane helps us with mood, right? And so on. And so it's really important to understand where your baseline is. Of course, if you're a very healthy person taking a lot of products, it's always hard to identify change. But we usually recommend about at least 3 weeks of taking a product and to take it daily. And so, one of the things that we do in terms of innovation is look at having a variety of different products so people can incorporate them easily into their everyday activity, because when it becomes something you have to think about, you forget.
Right.
And they don't work well when you forget to take them.
Right. Well, what would you say really differentiates OM mushrooms in the marketplace?
I think the biggest differentiator is our investor in clinical research, finished product clinical research. And again, relating back to this kind of, I call it social media science. I see brands out there making claims about mycelium is a waste of time and we're science backed. And I know these brands have never invested $1 in science. They're kind of borrowing somebody else's science. They're using small doses of extracts and they have nothing to base their claims on. And so I think what's really different about our brand is we're the only brand really that has so much clinical evidence of the specific dose and looking at endpoints for health and wellness. And I think that is what our industry is really driving towards. We want consumers to have faith in our industry and in our products, that they do indeed deliver on what we are promising on our labels. So I think that's the big differentiator. And of course, the fact that we grow our own products here in Vista, California. I mean, that is also, full transparency. We've got a team of mycologists here, of natural product chemists. And so
the quality control,
highest quality control in the industry. So lots and lots of transparency.
You mentioned innovation. How does innovation fit into all of this? How do you innovate with mushrooms? Is there anything that you're excited about right now or, on that front as you look to future concepts and products?
With my background in health and wellness, that also really helps with our team as well, as we're looking at what consumers are struggling with. I'm looking at women's health right now, of course, which is something a lot of people are looking and seeking.
And the opportunity for diversification there, right? That's fantastic.
Yes. And so, what we know is, sleep is really important to endocrine function, right? And so we've done a number of studies now looking at reishi and its impact on having improved sleep. And so that, is something that contributes. Brain fog, we know, is a symptom of perimenopause, right? So all through menopause. And so the work that we've done now, looking at improved focus, improved juggle factor, what woman is not juggling many things in their life. So we have research that substantiates the importance of lion's mane in improving our cognitive abilities. And then with cordyceps, I think all women struggle with that natural feeling of energy, right? And as you go through hormonal changes, it can really vacillate enormously. And so I'm a huge fan of cordyceps and being able to, feel I have a source of my own natural energy, not relying on caffeine or other stimulants to not only get me through the day, but to help carry me into the evening as well. And so I think there are many solutions that we're finding with mushrooms that really address women's health in particular. And so for me, that's a really exciting new area for us to focus on.
Well, I look forward to seeing what you have coming up next. We'll definitely keep an eye out. That's all the time we have today. Thank you, Sandra, for joining us. Our sponsor today has been OM Mushrooms with guest Dr. Sandra Carter, co-founder of OM Mushrooms. And to our audience, thank you for listening and have a wonderful remainder of your day.